Well, hello again everyone. Yes, it's me again, and here's an update on my last video. So not so good news to start with. Those of you that were looking forward to what I was telling you about in the last video, which was a competition that I devised for my friend Colin, who'd come down from the mainland for the weekend. And Boris, who was going to come along and do some shooting on Saturday, just gone. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way that I'd planned. We didn't have the competition because Boris was a no-show. Quite where she's got to, I don't know. I did try ringing her, but there was no answer. So you can't really have a competition with one person, can you? So I'm going to have to postpone that until we can sort something out with somebody else maybe. Anyway, so sorry about that, but there's no video of a competition. What there is going to be, however, this time is a video showing you what I'm going to be doing to shorten this replacement stock which I've got for my granddaughter Tululla's Airforce 1 CO2 powered air rifle. And if you've watched the last video, you'll remember that she's coming up for 10 in November. But this will be, I know for a fact, this will be that little bit too long for her. So I want to shorten the reach of pull length. In other words, the length from the trigger to the end of the butt pad. So rather than hack that about, I thought I'd get a replacement one and shorten that one, and then because they clip in and out, the shortened one she can be using until she's big enough to use this one. So I'm going to do it in stages. I've got a rough idea already of how I'm going to do it, and what I'll do is film each stage and then put it all together, and you'll be watching the finished video. Will be hopefully from start to finish. So this is where I pause it, and then I'll start filming again once I've done some work on it. Okay, so the first thing to do then is, as you can see, I've marked just with a piece of tape where I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to be cutting it down this side all the way around, because what I want to do is keep this fatter section, and particularly the bit with the rubber butt pad on. I want to keep that, and my idea is once I've cut it there, I'm going to then chop here and up here somewhere. This of course is only going to work, I think, if it turns out that this is hollow, and I think it probably is, because most things are like this, are hollow nowadays, aren't they? I've tapped it a few times and it sounds hollow. So yeah, so I'll come back to you once I've cut this all the way around and I've got it in two bits, and I'll have a better idea then as to whether or not my idea is going to work. So right, I'll get on with that then. Well, that's the first bit done. That was easier than I thought it was going to be, if I'm perfectly honest. Just using a junior hacksaw, that seemed like the easiest way to do it. And as I'd hoped, look, completely hollow. So now the next plan is to cut here somewhere, which will give me a bit that I can poke into this hole, and then cut here somewhere. I might have to sort of thin it down or something, because that's going to butt up or mate up or just inside this next bit. So essentially, however much I cut off of here, when I come to join it to this bit, that's how much shorter it's going to be overall. So I'll have a little think about this, get on and make some cuts, and then come back to you. Right, so having separated the two bits, I've now marked again with the white tape where I think I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut on the right hand side of each piece of tape, and we'll see what I'm left with. I'm just really sort of making this up as I go along, but I'm hoping this is going to work, otherwise I've wasted a stock, but we'll see. Right, back in a minute. Okay, so I've made those 2 cuts, and you can see the bit that I've cut out of it. So essentially the whole thing is going to be that much shorter when I've finished. I'm not quite sure now, having looked at it. Let's just show you. That's hollow. Obviously this bit's hollow. Just about matches up, but I'm going to have to find something to plug in there, and then a fix in this side as well, just to strengthen the whole thing up, and the same at the bottom. And then my plan is, I've got some, is it P38 or something similar, made by Isopon, and it's a car body. It's what is it, fiberglass resin, car body hole repair stuff. So I'm going to fill the whole of the back end up with that once I've secured these bits in the right place, of course. Yeah, fill it entirely up with that to make it nice and strong, and to give it some substance, and to fill up this big gaping hole. And then once that's done, I can sand it all down and perhaps give it a coat of paint. But what I'm going to do is take the existing stock off the rifle, and then put these 2 bits in place on the rifle, and then I can best judge then exactly where these bits need to sit against this, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to do next. Right, well, we're slowly getting there. That's where I've got to so far. As you can see, I've put the 2 bits that I've cut into the gun itself, so I can make sure that they're exactly the same length, or the correct length I should say, so that the larger bit at the rear sits at the proper angle. And you can see the difference. I've laid one against the other. The old one, of course, I'm chopping down, is at the top, and that's the original one, so you can see the difference in length. I've got an idea about how I'm going to actually join these bits together and at the same time strengthen it all up, so I'll show you on the next bit how I'm going to do that. Right, I've figured out a way of doing it to be able to glue the 2 bits together and to strengthen it all up at the same time. And just to give you a clue what I've used, yeah, plastic pistol crossbow bolts, of which I've got thousands. So I've cut a few down to size, just wiggle that off. I've poked a load right up inside of this bit. I think there's 4 there, and just the one that sits in, because the end of this, see if I can get it out. Ugh, difficult to do one-handed. The end of this is only very small, so that's just big enough to get, hang on, to get one bit about that long in the end, and then stick it, not doing this very well, stick it inside there. So first of all, I'm going to glue these bolts into that and into that. Once the glue's gone off, I'm then going to glue those bits into here, and once that's set, then I'm going to fill the rest of this up with Isopon car body filler, and then once that's gone off, I'm going to sand it all down so it looks nice, and then possibly give it a coat of paint or spray it or something, so that it all looks, well, as much one piece as possible. I must apologise before I go any further if the picture that you're watching keeps jumping from landscape to portrait. I've got a new phone recently, and try as I might, I can't get the picture to rotate. I don't know why, so it's just sort of coming out as it's coming out. So, but apart from that, hopefully you can see how it all's coming together. So the next time you'll see this, probably tomorrow now, is when I've glued the bolts inside that bit and inside this bit, and then we'll have a look at this bit again. So right then, seems to be coming along as planned quite nicely. I've stuck it all together whilst it was connected to the body of the rifle, just so I could make sure that everything lined up correctly. And I've stuck it together using 2-part epoxy resin glue. That's now gone off. I've left it overnight. It's very firm and the whole thing feels very solid. So the next step will be that big hole there. I'm going to mix up a load of this stuff, P40 it is, Isopon. Going to mix up a load of that and then bung it in the hole, wait for that to go off, and then I can sand it all down. So that'll be the next bit that you see. I think, by the way, for the rest of this video, I've suddenly discovered how you rotate the video so I don't have to watch it, or you don't have to watch it in portrait anymore. So it ought to be the same from now on. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute. Right, it's coming on quite nicely. I've managed to completely fill this large portion, the one that had the big void in it. That's now completely filled with Isopon. And I've purposefully, let's just turn it round, purposefully left it really proud, so that when it goes dry and rock hard, which it's supposed to, I've never used this before, but when it goes rock hard, I can sand it down and leave, rather than a completely flat face to it, I can round it off so it sort of blends in with the rest of it. So I'm going to leave this probably for 24 hours, I imagine, so it gets really nice and hard, and then I'll have a go at sanding it down. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it's working so far. If it works out as I hope it's going to, then you would barely know that anything has been done to it. So yeah, well, I'll be back soon in 24 hours. Okay, right, it's a day and a half after the last segment of this video, so I've let this get really hard, and as you can see, just using a variety of hand tools, it's starting to take shape now, and hopefully you'll see the finished look that I'm sort of going to be aiming for, just to give it a bit of form so it wasn't completely flat. But yeah, I'm pleased. This has taken me today about an hour and a half to get it just down to where it is at the moment. Boy, this stuff is tough. I think I've certainly made the right choice of material to use to fill it all in with. Yeah, so I've probably got another hour's work, I reckon, and then once I've finished that, I'll wash it all off so you can see the end product. But yeah, I'm pleased so far. Right, well, it's another hour or so later now, but it's really starting to take shape, as you can see. It's got a sort of blends in with the bits that I've chopped off and stuck in there. Still haven't finished it yet. Probably another hour's work left, I would imagine, but I'm not going to do any more tonight. I shall finish that tomorrow. So once I've done that and I've washed it all off so you can see the shape that I'm left with, I'll probably post this video then, because I'm going to have to source some paint from somewhere. So, and then when it's all painted up, I'll just do another quick video showing you the finished thing. But yeah, so that's where I've got to so far, and I must say I'm really pleased with the end result. Right, I'm not doing any more sanding. It's taking me forever. This is probably another hour's work or so, but as you can see, it's now taken on quite a nice shape, which seems to blend in with the lines of the rest of the stock quite nicely. So I've washed it all off. I'm at the painting stage now. So today, being Saturday, I shall go into the town, and I'm thinking maybe blackboard paint will do it, probably make it quite nice. So a couple of coats of that later, and then that'll be the next video, the finished job. So I'm now going to stop this and upload this, what will probably be quite a long video, and then get back to you in the next few days, I imagine, with a video of the finished stock. So see you later.